You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So we're now going to be speaking to Dan Scott here at the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on BRFM. We're talking to Dan as part of the regular slot I do with Ideas Test and number 34. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Daniel.
So we have spoke to you before, but I was hoping you could just introduce yourself to our listeners and let them know what you do as a sound artist.
My name is Dan Scott. I'm an artist based in Margate, and I work in a variety of ways, but generally I work with sound and with listening, making installations, participatory works, collaborations and performance.
Well, I was hoping you could tell us a bit more about this latest project and what it's titled.
Yeah, it's a project called A Space Made by Listening, and it's the beginning of a series of films I'm making, working with people who use listening in their practice. My background is in sound and music, so listening becomes an important part of that, of course. And I've been doing PhD research for the last few years about ways of listening within sound and within music, and I'm becoming more and more interested in the listenings that go on beyond those disciplines. So for this project, I'm interviewing and working with a Catholic priest, a therapist, an improvising musician who dances as well and uses listening within dance, and a singing teacher. So I'm gradually building up a series of these kind of collaborative dialogues with these different listening practitioners. And the project in Sittingbourne is, I guess, the beginning of that project.
So how did you come up with this idea then?
Well, as I said, a lot of my work in sound is focused on listening as a practice and as a way of working. And previously I've made works which I guess are more gallery-based installations and so on, but I've also had a practice of participatory works or community-based works or workshop-based works where I was very aware of listening being a really important part of that kind of work, but I hadn't at that stage a few years ago really kind of thought about it as another form of listening in a similar way as the sound work that I was making. So this became the basis of a PhD project. So it kind of emerged from that, and it's kind of ongoing, and I'm now really interested in listening beyond sound, and also how people listen in all kinds of lines of work or situations.
So how will this project actually work, and are you looking for listeners to get involved? Is it something they can get involved with?
Well, I'd be interested if anyone feels like they are, or they're good listeners, or they use listening in the work they do. I'd be interested in talking with them. But certainly, more generally, if anyone is interested in talking and developing ideas around this, then please do get in touch.
Now, I understand this is part of a bigger project.
This has been part of my research on these different ways of listening, and it's a kind of an experiment to see if this works. I'm quite interested in creating, I don't know what it would be yet, it may become an installation work with lots of these listeners on various screens. It might become something else, I don't know yet, but at this stage I'm meeting with these people, we're talking, the discussion is being filmed and recorded, and then I'll go away and work it up as a material, and we'll see what happens, really.
So has it been interesting meeting these people? Has it been a hard process finding the people, and do you even really know who you're looking for initially?
Well, I was kind of curious. There are a few obvious ones that popped up. I work in, as I said, in sound and performance, so I was keen to talk with someone who uses listening very consciously in their sound and performance works. I work with David Leahy, who is a dancer and musician, and he's someone I knew through other circles. And I was at this stage, I was kind of interested in talking to people who I had a connection with already, partly because it creates a kind of intimacy straight away when you're talking with someone. And these conversations are dialogues, and I was very interested even within the listening that happens within the conversation as much as we're talking about listening. So I was quite keen to work with people I knew. So he was someone I knew. The priest is actually my father-in-law, who converted to Catholicism a couple of years ago. So he has an interesting perspective on listening, but also is a family member. So there was that connection. The therapist is someone I know from Margate, and the singing teacher is also someone who I know as well. So they're people I have personal connections with. But I mean, as the project goes on, I think I'll widen that net. But initially, I was quite keen to have a connection with the people already.
So actually, it must be quite interesting because you're normally the one listening to people, and actually you're looking for people to talk about how they listen.
Yeah, no, I'm really interested in moving away from, well, I suppose making the listening the subject. I'm very interested in, it sounds like a paradox, but creating artworks that listen somehow. So these films, one of my favourite bits of the films are those moments when the interviewee is just listening to maybe me speaking or just listening to sounds in the space, and you kind of watch that and they're looking at the camera, and it creates, I quite like that, and this is something I'm going to play with more as I come to the editing stages, but those moments where as a viewer you really get the sense of that person listening. It's quite a subtle one. It's very much about body language, and it's about when you look at someone being able to kind of read their interior response to things. But yeah, I'm quite excited about that.
So are you hoping to have some of these pieces available at Ideas Test?
Yeah, I mean, certainly once they're worked up a bit, they'll Ideas Test will perhaps put them up on their site, and then the work will go on. It's kind of a research project as much as anything. And then I'm going to work up a few rough cuts and things for this Saturday. But yeah, I mean, it's been a really nice offer to have this space to develop these ideas. So yeah, absolutely. Once they're in a kind of readable, watchable, listenable state, they'll be available to look at or listen to.
So was there anything else you'd like to add or to cover? If not, thank you very much for talking to us here at BRFM Bridge Radio on the Monday Night Community Show. It'll be interesting to see how the project progresses.
I should say thank you to Ideas Test for the opportunity, and thank you as well, Daniel.